The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. It's time for the Guillotine Grapevine, a podcast for the land of 10,000 wrestlers. 10,000 wrestlers. Now, here's your host, award-winning wrestling broadcast journalist, Jason Bryant.
And welcome back, Minnesota wrestling fans, where it's a great time to be a Minnesota wrestling fan here on the Guillotine Grapevine podcast. My name is Jason Bryant. We are recapping the November 12th duel as the Minnesota Golden Gophers, coming into the season ranked number 6 in the country, topped the United States Air Force Academy 29-6 at the Maturi Pavilion, formerly known as simply the Sports Pavilion or the PAV as they're trying to brand it. But Maturi Pavilion is the name of the building, and the Gophers win 8 out of 10, 9 wrestlers in the lineup from the state of Minnesota. The 10th, Hunter Marco, making his home debut, comes across the river from Amory, Wisconsin. Of course, he spent a lot of time wrestling with the Lawrence brothers and Coach Brandon Paulson at Pinnacle. So a bunch of wrestlers, no stranger here to the state of Minnesota and the Metro. Things got started at 125 pounds. Ethan Lezak beat Tony DeCesar 6-2. Rather lethargic victory. Lezak got up 4-0 in the early going and pretty much just kind of held on, cruised through it. We'll talk to Brandon Eggum later in the broadcast and get his post-match thoughts, as well as we'll talk to Air Force Academy head wrestling coach Sam Barber, who spent a lot of time in the area as an assistant coach and a head coach at the Division III level. Mitch McKee looking sharp with a quick fall in the first period, fresh off his silver medal at the Junior World Championships held in August in Finland. The first loss of the duel came as Gannon Volk stepped in for Tommy Thorne at 141 pounds, and Alex Opstal used a late reversal to kind of ice it. This was a slow, brooding match, a lot of riding time here. Hunter Marco looking really good in his first action at home. Picked up a major decision 16-2 over Tommy Steger again at 149. Jake Short, coming in ranked number 9 in the country, beat Dane Robbins 3-2 in what was probably the most boring match of the night. And that's not a shot at either wrestler. It was just really nothing going on. Robbins had a really good single leg attempt at the end of the match, which he basically just fell down, and Short took advantage of it, pounced on it, and got the winning takedown. Robbins quickly kicked out, but it was really just a snooze fest for about 6.5 minutes. Nothing really great to write home about there. Nick Wanzik over Alex Opachansky, 12-3. Wanzik and Short, who have seemed to have been on this team since the Carter administration. Wanzik looking sharp, 12-3 major decision over a very dangerous Lopachansky. His older brother Ivan was an All-American at Purdue, and they have quite a judo and a throwing type of background. Chris Farr with a solid win over Michael Billingsley, 7-3 at 174. And you say, what, 7-3 solid win? Who is Michael Billingsley? Billingsley had a pretty good season last year, had a couple decent victories, including one over Nick Reenan from NC State. So Chris Farr, that's a good win. At least it'll look better towards the end of the year, because we expect Billingsley to have a pretty good season for Air Force. Owen Webster's home debut as he comes across the river, across the street, or down the block, whichever you prefer, as he was third at Augsburg last year in Division III. Webster out of Shakopee beats Zen Aikahara 5-0 at 184 pounds. Upset at 197 as Bobby Stevenson fell to Anthony McLaughlin 7-4 in a match that we saw 2 video reviews, one held up and one reversed. We will talk to Coach Brandon Eggum about that. And Riley Streifel at heavyweight defeats Matt Wagner. Streifel used a first period takedown with a single leg and chops leg, and then basically the 2 traded rideouts and rather I would say a typical heavyweight match, but nothing to write home about there either. So first, we'll talk to Sam Barber, Air Force Academy head wrestling coach here on the Guillotine Grapevine, about his return to the area. Then we'll finish up with Coach Brandon Eggum. You're listening to the Guillotine Grapevine here at theguillotine.com and on the Matt Talk Podcast Network. That was Sam Barber, head coach of the United States Air Force Academy, on the wrong end of a 29-6 dual meet win here. But purpose of our interview today, one, talk a little bit about your program, but 2, you spent a lot of time here in Minnesota. What's it mean to be back?
Oh, it's just, Minnesota to this day is still, in my opinion, the best wrestling community in the United States. So they're passionate about their wrestling, and I love my time being here, being around that, as I love wrestling as well. So yeah, a lot of great relationships, and if you look at coaching trees, mine's not a direct lineage back to this program, but I did start working for Jay Robinson, when I was a sophomore in college, and so I feel like, in some ways, in my mind, I don't know how other people view it, but my coaching tree my roots come back to Minnesota.
When you come back and as the head of a Division I program and you go in basically to an established program like this on the road, what do you tell your guys when you know this area so well, and what should they expect as athletes?
We just talked about doing what we do, and I think hopefully that's what a good coach would say. But our guys, we work extremely hard. I think you saw that out here today, that we wrestled a pretty good pace and we're able to compete for 7 minutes. And so I just told our guys that we're going to go out and we're going to compete the way we train. And when we do that and when we work hard and with an emphasis on scoring points, then the outcome's the outcome, and we'll take whatever that is and we'll use it to continue to grow and improve. But for us, it's really wasn't much more to it than that. Obviously, we talked about being in a venue where there's educated fans. They know they're wrestling, they love their wrestling, so it's going to be fun. We were excited about it. No moral victories. So obviously we're not thrilled about the outcome, but I was pleased with our guys' effort.
Educated fans, that can be a positive and a negative depending on where you're at, because I think that one educated fan likes to sit right behind me the whole time. But when you look at coming back, you spent a lot of time after the match talking to people that are coming up. I've seen Travis Shai, I've seen Jesse Krebs, I've seen a number of people that have been a part of Jay's system, through the wrestling system here in Minnesota or out in Colorado Springs. If there was any other place other than Colorado Springs, would you be back here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It would be for me as far as future opportunities.
Well, I speak from experience because I left Colorado Springs to come back here. So if you ever had to come back somewhere and you had to leave that beautiful Colorado Springs, Minnesota be number one on your list?
Minnesota, they'd have to drag me kicking and screaming, and the Air Force would have to put a boot in my butt, because not only do I love Colorado Springs, but I love what we do at the United States Air Force Academy and what we stand for. I feel like being there, I could be part of the fight, part of our service members and what they do to serve their country. So I'm absolutely in love with what we do and who we are at the United States Air Force Academy. But if the world was going to end tomorrow and I had to go one other place, it would be Minnesota.
When we talk about the differences in the haves and have-nots in college wrestling, service academies are in their own world, because you've got to be a special type of student-athlete, more or less student more than athlete in a lot of cases, to want to attend a service academy. When you're coming to the Minnesota State Tournament, or you've got assistants coming out here going to various states, especially Minnesota, what type of kid do you have to really look for? And it's not just, I like Air Force, I like you. They can't, just because they like you doesn't mean they can go to the academy.
Yeah, for us, and we call those academy kids, and with that we have 5 or 6 criteria we look for. But first and foremost, one of the big pieces of that, obviously, when you start, obviously you're looking for kids that can compete at a Division I level and have the desire and all those things athletically. But the biggest thing is that they have to want to be who we are, and we're service above self. That's what we do. All right, you're gonna have to want to be part of our nation's finest and be part of the profession of arms. There's no doubt about it. And it's one of the best careers, one of the best jobs, one of the best things you could do with your life. But that's a big thing for us, is that you absolutely have to have service on your heart.
When you look at the type of athletes coming, you carry a big roster, but it's not always about getting mat time or becoming national champions. Even though Air Force does have some All-Americans in their history, when you've got to coach these kids up, that some of them they may be 5th, 6th in the state, or they may be state champions, but again, they all have that drive to be serving our country. I mean, how do you balance the coaching the elite and maybe the not so elite in the same room?
Well, I think you saw that in 197. Anthony McLaughlin was, he didn't place in the state tournament as a senior in high school, and the athlete he wrestled was, pretty highly recruited. So, guys get better in our program, and it's through their hard work. I think the credit belongs to the man in the arena. These guys put in the time, and Anthony's done that. He's put in the time, the effort, the passion is important to him, and we got a great coaching staff, and we have access to the Olympic Training Center, and we're around good people, we're around good wrestling minds, and we live it in our coaches, and we instill it in our guys. But I would never take one bit away from what happened today at 197 away from Anthony McLaughlin. That's 100% a product of his passion and his hard work.
Came out here, was it last year or the year before, you wrestled Wisconsin lacrosse out just across the river in Wisconsin. Now a home duel or a road duel against the Gophers. When you say you like this area and it's one of the best wrestling areas, you're making a point to try to come to this area, not just for, hey, let's see some friends, but you're really trying to recruit not just those military kids, but the kids that might be service kids that don't know it yet.
Right. For us, a lot of people don't know who and what we are, so education's a big part of recruiting for us. But once we educate people on the opportunity, they get to see us compete, and they feel like, that they can achieve their goals, all their goals, life, academic, and athletic at the United States Air Force Academy, I think it opens people's eyes to what we are and what we can do for folks.
Real quickly, when you talk about goals, your goals, when you were coming out of Upper Iowa and you were a Division III assistant coach, a Division III head coach, you ever think you'd be a Division I head wrestling coach coaching against the Gophers?
I don't know. I just wake up every day and feel blessed for the opportunities I have in front of me, and I've always just had an opinion, and actually it was Jay Robinson that taught me, just like stay longer, do more than the next guy, and if you do that, good things will happen. So that's really been my approach. It's been an attitude of gratitude and just try and outwork. I don't even compare myself to other people. I just get up every day and I want to be the best coach in Division I wrestling, and I don't care if it's the Air Force Academy or Minnesota or Oklahoma State. I'm trying to be the best coach I can be for our guys in our program. I'm trying to pay my dues just like I expect our guys to pay their dues and do the right things.
Coach Brandon Eggum here after a 29-6 win over the Air Force Academy. Team has got a little bit of a local interest. Sam Barber spent a lot of time here, and you've had your interactions with Sam over the years. What's it like to coach against a guy like that?
As you mentioned, he's a local guy, great friend to all of us here. So, great coach. So it was exciting. Obviously, when you're out there coaching, it's just coaching. You're doing your thing. But it was nice. We got a chance for when Sam and the team came in yesterday to be able to talk, and he was a part of some of our honoring of Brooklyn Vite, who was a leukemia survivor. So it was really awesome. I called him up, and a guy like Sam, such a great individual that you knew their team would be part of anything we asked. So it's always awesome to see friends on the road and stuff like that. So for them to come back home here was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was touch on the takedown cancer thing that's going around. This was a big duel with that. I know Andy Voigt, who's a listener of the show, he sent me the information about the takedowncancer.org. And what's it mean for you to be involved and talk to another team of like, hey, we're going to do this thing. Do you want to be in and have the buy-in from the opposing team as well as what it means to the Gopher wrestling community?
Yeah, that's something special. You're out there and these guys are competing, and for a lot of these young guys are thinking this is the biggest deal in the world to them, and they realize there's kids or individuals out there that are struggling with cancer and the effects of that, and so to realize there's something bigger out there and more important and is important. So when you get somebody like Sam Barber in the Air Force that says, hey, we welcome this opportunity to be a part of it with you is pretty cool. So.
Talking performance, even though the school board said 29-6, couple sluggish performances out there. We'll start off right at 125. Lezak just first time coming down the weight on a 1 hour weigh-in. Yeah,
I thought he did some good things. Like anything. We know he can score more points. He normally does get bonus points. We wanted to make him wrestle right off the bat at 25, so we decided not to draw. We know he's big, but he has done a lot better job with his weight. And you got to give it to the Air Force kid too. I thought he wrestled a good match, and you turn a couple of those opportunities around where it's close to scoring. Maybe for Lezak, you get him on top. He can do his damage there, but that kid was a scrappy kid with legs and stuff as well. So I don't know if I consider that one. It wasn't what we wanted, but it wasn't too bad in general. At 41, we didn't have Tommy out there. Both Gann and Volk, who filled in for him, and Tommy got a little dinged up at the Daktronics last weekend, and they're both wrestling live yesterday. We could have thrown Tommy out, but we're more looking at kind of the future here. Next week, we got a big weekend coming up. We got South Dakota State, and then we also go on the road to Oklahoma State. So 2 really good duels there. We thought it was maybe more important to get him healthy. But with Gannon, we expect to see more out of him. I know that kid's a good leg rider as well. But, you get a chance to get in there. Gannon works hard. He does a lot of great things. He just got to make sure he takes advantage of those opportunities as well. Other than that, the only other one was Bobby. Bobby didn't get a chance to wrestle last week. At least going off your question, I think of guys that, in my head, I think that could have done a better job. Obviously, all 10 can, but at 97, Bobby getting down there and wrestling. He didn't wrestle last week. I think it's important to get out there and get those matches, and you see it here tonight. He did fine, but against, I know Air Force's kid is a good kid, but that's a match that we felt that we let slip through our fingers, and we'd like to get it back. So he's got to do some things, make some changes and adjustments. I know he will, but we got to take those, want to get those matches back. We could have wrestled better in, a couple of those matches. We could have, shut him out, and that would have been, the ultimate goal for our team.
Mitch McKee had an up-and-down season last year. He lost to more ranked guys, I think, than anybody in the country at that point. Has a great summer wrestling with Team USA. What has his confidence been like since coming off of that performance in Finland?
Well, he's a guy that's a great competitor. Obviously, he's wrestling all the time, as you mentioned. Even last year, you see, at the NCAA tournament, as you mentioned, he wrestled more ranked guys. So it's tough on a true freshman like him, but he makes it to the blood round and wrestled a great national tournament. Then he goes on, makes a world team, wrestles in Finland, ends up taking a silver out there. He's, confidence, momentum's in a really good direction at that point. And then making the U23 world team is exciting. And as a coaching staff, it's kind of a tough decision because we know it's right in the middle of our season and how we can balance it. Typically, we have tournaments during Thanksgiving weekend, but we took it off just to allow our guys, opportunity to spend with their families. It was the hope, and it worked out great for Mitchell. That tournament kind of came up on us quick, and so it worked out great. He makes the world team, which is awesome. I mean, guys coming here know that's part of their goal for a lot of them. They want to make world and Olympic teams, and so you want to give them that opportunity when you can. So it's good momentum for Mitchell. We're going to allow him to compete out there. We'll have to make some adjustments probably following that tournament. Maybe not send him to Vegas, the Cliff Keen or something. But at that point, it's great. And then you see him come out tonight. He's continuing to wrestle very well. He's a powerful guy, but he's a great scrambler, great on top. He's all around great wrestler. So we're excited to see what he can do this year for us as well.
Guy that's been around the program and around the Metro for a while, but he's the Wisconsin kid. Hunter Marco got his first start here at the PAV. A guy that got Steve Bly's now part of the program. 149, is that going to be a battle? Those two going to go back and forth, or what do you expect to see from young Hunter Marco along with the transfer?
Yeah, I would. I mean, that's a weight that I think everyone, a lot of guys are looking at that are in that range of this is a spot they're trying to take. So for Hunter's performance tonight, it was awesome. He's one of the guys we talked about when the match was over, about the pace that he wrestled. And that's something that fans can embrace, alumni, all of the coaching staff, the guys on the team. When you watch a guy like Hunter go out there and the effort he puts forward, that's exciting. Everybody wants to win, but that's what we need. We need 10 guys wrestling the way he did. So that was really exciting. And down the road, no doubt, a guy like Steve will be fighting for that spot as well. But the most important thing for Hunter is he's in the lineup right now. He continues to get better, take advantage of this situation, and keep wrestling that pace. So him, Wanzek, and I'd throw a shout out to Chris Farr as well. To watch those guys compete, the pace that they wrestled, I mean, that's exciting. And that's what we hope that we can get all 10 guys clicking at the same time. And then, you got a great team.
9 of those 10 guys are from the state of Minnesota. One that's come across basically either the street, the river, or down the block. Owen Webster, who initially committed to Minnesota, coming out of high school, spent last year at Augsburg, was third in Division III at 184. He's in the lineup here, probably a year later than you expected. What do you expect out of Owen? He already had a quick pin at one point this year. He's 10 or 11 seconds already. But what's he brought to the room, and what are you expecting to see from him?
Well, again, we're talking about competitors. Owen's a great competitor, and he can wrestle in all 3 areas. He's great on top, bottom, and on his feet, so that's exciting. I mean, he fills a good void with Brett Farr leaving due to graduation last year at 97. It gives the opportunity for Bobby to go up to 97, and it was a nice fill there, having Owen be able to come in. So we're excited. This is a big day for him. I'm sure growing up as a kid, he's always dreamed of being a Gopher. Now you sit back in that tunnel and they announce your name, and I'm sure there's a little extra nerves there, but a great kid, great competitor. So we're excited to have him in the lineup. I know he'll help us out.
Long runs between you got Fresno State coming in December, but there's a long gap between homestands here at the Pavilion and Williams next door. What do you say to the Gopher fans? Say, hey, let's keep this interest up. You can keep up with us on social media and the web, of course, but this long gaps, that's got to be a little tough on a fan base.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You wish you'd have more home duels and stuff like that. We got 6 of them this year. Some of it has to do with the scheduling just of the Big Ten. Each year they schedule the duels for us, so whether we're home or away and which ones we're having. But in between, the fortunate thing is there's a lot of information out there. Like you say, streaming, you can pretty much follow every duel if you want to watch these guys. So we just ask them to continue to support the guys and make sure there's a little lull between now and December 10th, but come back. We're trying to do some great things for every duel. This week we tried to honor and acknowledge cancer with Take Down Cancer. We had the Veit family out there, their daughter Brooklyn, who's a leukemia survivor. It was great. We have special guests like Logan Storley coming back. We're going to continue to try to do some of those things. We're looking at maybe doing a couple matches with some of our alumni past guys coming out maybe at halftime. Someone like
matches, huh?
Yeah, not against each other, but like Fresno State, we're in the works right now. Maybe Clones out there. Maybe him and Ness could wrestle at halftime, like a freestyle. Just a great opportunity, one, for our fans. They would love to see a Tony Nelson, Jason Ness, somebody like that, I think, shoot out of that tunnel again and be able to watch them. Same time, just a good opportunity, I think, for these guys that are trying to compete, whether it's Ness or Cologne, an opportunity to get out in front of people and wrestle. And for them, it's not much on the line besides an opportunity to compete in front of a crowd and do some of those things. So we'll try to do some of those, honor some of our past alumni greats or world team members and some of that. So that's the goal, continue to try to do more than just a wrestling match when you're here, but put on a show and give people other things that they can talk about as well.
Last thing, I talked to Tim Shields briefly before the match, the referees coordinator for the NCAA, and a local guy who's basically at every match to make sure he's checking things out for the Big Ten. One official and then a replay official. We saw 2 reviews tonight. What is your understanding on how that replay process has worked? And you've got 1 mat official instead of 2 now. What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I guess I think it could be a good thing, as long as the officials and the video replay expert are not corresponding with each other about it, because there should be separation there a little bit. As far as having the second ref, I guess you felt like in duels, most of the time the second ref would never override the first official, because that was their goal to get there, and you're not going to step on the toes of at least that was, from my experience in other coaches, you hear that a lot. There's times when they could step in and maybe make a call on the edge or time-wise. So we'll wait and see. Just continue to try to make wrestling advance. But, you hope that this would be a good adjustment. One of the other things we suggested, and I know in the Big Tens, is just kind of making the announcer make an announcement of what they're challenging. Because as fans, you hear that when you're watching the NFL and stuff. And that was one of the things that, I brought up in the Big Ten meeting was, in our match at the NCAA finals, for example, Lezak was out there, and we challenged that he was, the guy had stepped out of bounds, or, something about the out of bounds. And at that point, our fans or other fans, they knew there was a challenge, but they had no idea that it was a takedown, or, what are you challenging? So
I was the announcer, so yeah, I didn't. Nobody told me.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that'd be a great thing for fans to know, what they're challenging. And so I know that's an adjustment they're trying to make. And I think it takes time, just, as venues and announcers and stuff get used to doing some of that stuff, just trying to make it better for our fans. So it's such an amazing sport, we all know, and all of us that are part of it, like yourself. But try to continue to bring in new fans is a big deal. So educating them is important, and getting them to understand the process, because when guys like you and me are wondering what's going on, I think that's a problem sometimes.
Support wrestling in the land of 10,000 wrestlers by subscribing to The Guillotine. 9 issues a year for just $20, the best value in Minnesota wrestling. Subscribe at theguillotine.com/subscribe.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.